there is a direct connection, an axis. It is called the gut-brain axis. And your gut very, very often serves as your second brain. It's often called the second brain. And the reason that's true is because your gut sends signals to the whole rest of your body.
There's the different type of anxiety. There's the anxiety that you feel in like your physical gut, in your core. It's more than just a nervousness. It's more intense than that. Whereas anxiety in your head feels like you're kind of like trapped in a padded room and you're pacing. You know what I mean?
When I was pregnant, I had a gut instinct that I was pregnant. Nothing told me. It was super early. I think it was like 4 weeks, maybe at the time. And something in my gut just told me something's not normal with your body of how you've been living. And I think there's a living being inside of you. Turns out that I was in fact pregnant.
Alrighty, welcome back to episode 2. This is our second official gut instinct podcast coming to you from Original Age. And we are a company that creates products that help the body heal itself from within. So our flagship product, of course, is Original Biome. This is a triple acting pre, pro, and postbiotic that works to restore the gut to its what's originally intended to be, Original Biome. And it does that by working with 10 live strains of bacteria together with 10 herbs, all fermented together. And it comes to you as a product that you take to restore your biome, to heal your gut lining. And we are thrilled about this product. It genuinely works. But today we are talking about something a little bit unique, but it's genuinely connected to gut health. And that is gut instinct. The name of our podcast is Gut Instinct. And the reason we're talking about it is because there is a direct connection, an axis. It is called the gut-brain axis. And your gut very, very often serves as your second brain. It's often called the second brain. And the reason that's true is because your gut sends signals to the whole rest of your body. And so today, what we're talking about are times when your gut tells you to do or not do something that might change the trajectory of your life, or even if it's something small. We all have a gut instinct. It gives us, some people call it intuition, or a extra sense, but we call it gut instinct. So we're talking today about times that we've had something happen where we used our instinct and either did something or not done something. And so love to hear from the rest of you out there if you have instances in your life where your gut instinct has kicked in and it's either saved you from something or saved someone else from something or produced some other positive result. We'd love to hear from you. You can send us an email at connect@originalh.com. So each of us have been thinking about what times in our life we've had something happen where you just knew something was either off or something you should do something or you shouldn't do something. And do you guys have a story you want to share about a time when you had?
I don't have one off the top of my head, no.
I do. You want to hear mine?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was at college and I had been downtown in my college town, and I lived in an apartment outside of town, a couple miles outside of town. And of course, in college, you walk everywhere. You two both walked everywhere in college, right? Everywhere, like a mile or two was nothing. Say, okay. So this is, now keep in mind, this is in 1985. Sorry to age myself, but 1985. So long, long time ago, right? I was walking from downtown, headed out to my apartment a little bit further out of town. And I was walking along a busy street. So the busy street had 2 lanes, the center lane, and then 2 lanes going one direction or the other. And I was walking along, and a car drove by me, but slowed down and pulled up about 5 houses up from where I was walking. And I could see the person in car. And as I continued to walk, the person didn't get out of the car. And I could see it was a man. And I didn't think much of it as I was passing. I sort of glanced over to my left and looked, and he wasn't getting out of the car, right? And I just kept walking. And all of a sudden, the car pulled out again and drove a little ways ahead, and again pulled up about 5 houses ahead of where I was and pulled over again. And I immediately felt that sick feeling. You know how you get that sick feeling? Now you just know that sick feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. We all do. And I thought, oh no, not today, Satan, not today. But I knew something was off. And I immediately crossed over to the other side of the street, which, 4 lanes of traffic, right? That's super busy traffic, but it was a busier street. And I immediately crossed over, and I was coming to an intersection. And at the intersection, the closest corner to me as I was approaching was a bar. And then across the street from that was a gas station. And then across the street from that was like I don't know if it was a hair salon or something like that. And then on this corner, on the other corner, was like a little grocery store that had parking in the back. All right. So it's a little parking lot. And the street that I was approaching was also a pretty busy street. So I crossed over and I went to the gas station. We had cell homes. And I knew I needed to call for a ride home. I knew in my gut I wasn't going to make it home if I didn't call for a ride. And so I went in and I called my boyfriend at the time. And I came outside and I sat on the curb. I had to use a quarter where they had to use a payphone to call. And we had a landline. And he was at my apartment, so it was fine. So I sat down on the little edge of the curb type thing at the gas station. And the car came down the street, took a right at the grocery store, took another right into the grocery store parking lot, and pulled around to the exit and stopped there and parked against the far edge of the parking lot and parked there watching me. And I thought, oh my gosh, thankfully, I was able to reach somebody to come and get me, because if I had to continue to walk, because that person waited until I got picked up. And my boyfriend came to pick me up, and that car was still there waiting. And I knew, sir, or something. I'm convinced it was some crazy serial killer, and I would have been abducted. And that was a long time ago. I mean, that was 45 years ago, folks. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I did not know that story.
Yeah, that was a crazy story.
I didn't know that either, Mom.
Yeah. You don't have a story that you know? Well, or is it that you don't have one that you can share like publicly?
Appropriate, yeah. I always say I've got instinct when it comes to pull tabs. I have a few stories, but I don't know. I don't think I should share.
Well, can you share something and leave the bad stuff out, or what?
I will.
You can like vaguely say that you've been in.
Your things off.
You've been in like really like pretty horrific situations of stress and like just severity of situation just by like proximity to some people in your life.
Yeah.
And those situations you've had really good. I know because I'm the one that gets the phone call at like 2 a.m. sometimes. You've had some pretty good moments of like gut of like, and I remember there were times you would call me and go like, I need you to come get me. I just have a bad feeling. It's just not passing the vibe check. And then I'd come get you and we'd find out later that it would have ended really badly because it did end unfortunately badly for someone else that night. Like there have been times like that.
And we haven't even mentioned she's already obsessed with serial killers. So
Yeah.
she just wants to climb inside their head and find out why they do what they do.
She listens to a lot of true crime, mostly at night, and I don't understand it.
That's probably why I'm convinced that a serial killer will come get me one day. Biggest one, I say this to a lot of people, if a lot of my friends, if they feel like they might be pregnant, I said, I think one of my biggest ones was when I was pregnant, I had a gut instinct that I was pregnant. Nothing told me. It was super early. I think it was like 4 weeks, maybe at the time. And something in my gut just told me something's not normal with your body of how you've been living. And I think there's a living being inside of you. Turns out that I was in fact pregnant. And I told my cousin and she was like, there's no way, right? No, I was. And I'll never forget when I told you because you thought I was going to tell you I wrecked my car. But in fact,
and I scared the crap out of her.
in fact, it was the most awkward dinner we've ever had. And my cousin's sitting there. Immediately, Lisa picks up on it and she's like, you guys are being very weird. I told her and she goes, oh, I thought you were going to say you wrecked your car. I was like, well, did you process I'm pregnant? That was probably one of the biggest moments of gut instinct because I don't think a lot of people, if you weren't trying to get pregnant, even sometimes if you are, I don't think people really, they don't think they're going to be able to tell, but your body tells you something's happening. That's really what the gut instinct comes from.
I think that's true.
Just for personal reasons, I'm going to not say their names, but I have a friend. She's been one of my best friends for the longest time. And her now husband at the time, they were engaged, about to be married. When this happened, he got in a really bad car accident, because of the cause of him. He didn't cause it, is what I'm trying to say. He was actually in a rideshare car, and he was going home from one place to this Airbnb that they had. And they got in a really bad accident. What's crazy is my best friend, the night before, because she didn't figure out until later in that morning, because he was obviously brought to the hospital. She didn't figure out until she got a call. But the night before, she said, I think something's wrong. I feel like there's an elephant sitting on my chest and I feel really sick to my stomach. To the point she wanted me to bring her to the hospital. And I said, it might just be anxiety with him being away. I'll turn my phone on loud. Let me know if you need anything. But she felt it the whole night. And a few hours later, she got a call from the hospital that her fiance at the time, now husband, had been in a very bad car accident and she should probably get on a flight to the location that they were in.
Wow.
And I just think it's crazy. She had the biggest gut instinct the night before. And he went home being responsible earlier than everyone else. And it happened. And she just knew right away. She thought she was going crazy, but she felt it to her core. And I think that's one of the craziest stories I could tell about gut instinct.
That's totally gut instinct. I love that. Love that. I can't believe you don't have a single story.
I usually ignore my gut instinct. I think it's the problem. It's usually when I'm driving and I'll just be like, I feel like I should turn here. And I'm like, nah, it'll be fine. And then I'll pass by the exit and I'll be like, oh, shoot, I was supposed to turn that. Like, it's gut instinct, but it's like more examples of me ignoring it than actually feeling it.
But you still feel it.
I do feel it. There are times where like I get really anxious, but it's not. So people who have anxiety, especially people who have generalized anxiety or like diagnosed anxiety, there's the different type of anxiety. There's the anxiety that you feel in like your physical gut, in your core. It's more than just a nervousness. It's more intense than that. Whereas anxiety in your head feels like you're kind of like trapped in a padded room and you're pacing. You know what I mean?
I do know you. That I think you're right too.
Yeah.
The difference between what your gut is telling you and what your brain, like racing thoughts in your brain.
Yeah. And with time and therapy and things, you learn to distinguish that. But there have been times where like I will have gut instinct based feelings of just anxious. And I'm not talking like I feel like thousands of needles pricking my stomach, it's cramping up, it hurts, it feels like I have an ulcer. I'm not talking about like that kind of anxiety because that's different. I'm talking about like there is something going on with somebody around me. It's bad and it's happening, and I know it's happening and I can feel it. I just can't pinpoint who and I can't pinpoint what. And I know there's probably a lot of people who are on TikTok that are going to be like, that's a sign that you have psychic ability. It's like, I don't think so. I think it's just me and my body being very attuned to people around me and that gut instinct. But there's one that I have when I was part of my sorority. We went to a party. It was people that like I'd gone out with before, but I hadn't gone with them in a while. And when you hang out with a bunch of different people like that and you go out to places, sometimes you'll end up going to the same haunts and sometimes you'll go to like just random one-off new places because they're new and exciting. And we went to this one person's apartment and it was really loud and it was really overstimulating and I just needed like a minute. And so I, in my drunken state, went into some guy's room and just shut the door for a minute because I was like, I didn't touch anything, but I just like wanted to get away from it. And the guy came in and I was like, I'm so sorry, I will leave. And he's like, no, you're good. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of noise and it's a lot of rap music. And I'm not a fan. And he's like, felt okay. And I'm like, sorry, I will leave. He's like, no, you can chill. And so like we just chilled and talked and it was actually nice. But the weird gut instinct was when like people who knew him came in and saw us talking and they looked at us and then shut the door. And I was like, I have a weird feeling that I just have a weird feeling that this is gonna cause misunderstanding. So I'm gonna peace out. I think my friends are leaving anyway. And ultimately, I'm glad I got out of there when I did because my friends would have left and had no idea where I was.
Blocked you?
Mm-hmm. I can tell you that I was not with my twin flame who would have absolutely demanded to know where I was. But no, I was with people I hadn't normally gone out with in a while. But later I found out that because one of the people who was at that party came up to the friend who had invited me and basically said, hey, she was in that room with so-and-so's roommate. Like, did they do anything? And she came up to me and she's like, did you? I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, well, these two guys are saying like that you did. And I was like, what did they look like? And then she described them and I was like, oh, those are the dudes that came in to like check on their friend or whatever and then left after shutting the door.
So your gut instinct was that you knew they were start rumors.
Kind of. I think the instinct was that they were going to try to push their friend into a situation where he clearly wasn't interested in me. And I was dating Devin at the time, so I wasn't interested in him. I genuinely just wanted an escape and someone was in the bathroom. And so it just was a situation where like my gut told me that he was fine. The guy I was in the room with was fine. But the way his friends were acting, it just felt like kind of a moment where like if he wasn't going to do anything, then they might have. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I do know.
it's just that's the only one that I can really like think of for gut instinct. Other ones are when I've just been walking home at night on campus at night and there's certain routes where I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to take that route. I just have a bad feeling. And then sometimes nothing comes of it. And then sometimes I find out later that someone was held at knife point.
Oh.
You know, it's just weird.
You would been right now. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. But so I don't really have one that one can honestly be cut. It's not super applicable. It doesn't really do much. Honestly, I get more gut instinct based stuff when someone around me is in trouble. But I don't know if that's really necessarily gut instinct for me. I think it's more of like for me, that feels more like spatial awareness. You know what I mean?
I do.
So with like when it comes to other people,
And I would say that is gut instinct because Lisa, my mom, I feel like every time something's ever happened to me or she's going to get a call from any of her kids, she always has a feeling before and she can't sleep. So I think you getting a gut instinct, even if it's for your friends or your loved ones, is still a gut instinct. It made me think about gut instinct when you're in danger. So if we talk about serial killers, if you hear the stories about people that have survived them or escaped
I
them,
know.
they knew immediately something was wrong. Like when they just were in the presence of
Evil.
or just the person, yes. But I would say, yes, gut instinct is when you're in danger, like immediately thought of Jeffrey Dahmer and the boy who escaped and got him caught because he had a gut instinct something was very off. And we won't go into all the details, but he ran out of the apartment, he got away, and that's how he was caught. Another guy that he took had the same feeling, and little did he know he was in the presence of the serial killer who had killed his brother. So he got away, and then the cop let him go. Jeffrey Dahmer came and got him, brought him back to the apartment and killed him.
Wow.
But he knew something was off, and the neighbor of Jeffrey Dahmer called multiple times and was like, something is wrong with this man living in my apartment building. So you just know.
That's exactly right. That's exactly that instinct.
But I will say, like, stressful emergencies. So I had a really scary experience. We're not going to go into all the details for personal reasons or say names. But this person, I was at my friend's house and it was late. And this person had, we didn't know at the time, epilepsy. And I had never personally seen someone have a seizure, like in front of me, and be the person who now was not in a bad way.
I had someone have an epilepsy seizure in front of me. It's horrifying.
But if you don't know
and heartbreaking
how to handle that situation, I would define that specifically as gut instinct, because all of a sudden you just act. It's like you're screaming 911 and your body kind of goes into like a fight or flight mode. So it's a different form of gut instinct, which is immediately what happened. I'm screaming and my friend's screaming because it's a very scary situation. But your gut instinct just kicks in and you know to like hold their head and I had never had this happen before. It's not like my friend afterwards was like, how did you know what to do? And I was like, I have no idea. I just kind of reacted. So he's okay now. Everything was fine. But I think that's a different form of gut instinct because I had no idea I knew what to do in a situation like that, or that you can't like shake the person that's having that epilepsy episode and you just call 911. But I also had no idea that if it goes in to like a certain time period, I think it's 2 minutes, that's a deadly point of a seizure. So weirdly, I don't know how because I wasn't looking at the clock, but I was able to kind of map out because the paramedic was like, how long was the seizure going for? And I was like, it felt like forever. But that's kind of a good, and I'm not going to say names or anything.
That's a really good one.
I had no idea, but mentally I could walk back to figure out how long this was going on for. So of course I said like 1 minute and 40 seconds, which was not accurate because that's a way too long of a time. But we kind of put together as like 40 seconds or something. I don't know the exact time, but it's a very different form of gut instinct because your mind is reacting to something, your environment around you. It's a flight or fight mode. And you don't really even know your gut and mind are working together to tell you what to do, but they are. And it was very incredible. I actually realized that I knew more about it than I thought I did.
That's really cool. That is really cool.
For anyone who has not experienced that, I would never wish. So I had no idea, but mentally I could walk back to figure out how long this was going on for. So of course I said like a minute and 40 seconds, which was not accurate because that's a way too long of a time. But we kind of put together as like 40 seconds or something. I don't know the exact time, but it's a very different form of gut instinct because your body, your mind is reacting to something, your environment around you. It's a flight or fight mode. And you don't really even know your gut and mind are working together to tell you what to do, but they are. And it was very incredible. I actually realized that I knew more about it than I thought I did.
That's really cool. That is really cool.
For anyone who has not experienced that, I would never wish.
We need to hear people's stories. Okay, so I had one more, and then we're gonna wrap up. I remember a few years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I want to say it was like a Friday night going into Saturday. So, woke up in the middle of the night, and I knew that I had to pray. And at the time, I was a smoker, which I love smoking, but I don't love the smell, so I don't smoke anymore. But oh, I wish I could. Anyway, got up in the middle of the night and went out on my deck, and I'm smoking, and praying for my son. Okay. And I don't know why I knew I like pray. And I was. And I continued to pray. I found out later that night, which was Saturday. So, I woke up, it was like 3 a.m, coming in Saturday morning. That night, my son was in downtown Minneapolis. His phone went dead. His friends had left. So he was stuck. It was like 2 a.m. He had no way to get home. He couldn't call a cab. There was no one around. He was by himself. His phone was dead, so he couldn't call rideshare.
And no one has the charger because he has an Android, so.
Exactly. And all of a sudden, this SUV pulls up, a small one, and inside was probably a 50-something, 60-something-year-old Asian lady. And she pulls up out of the blue, rolls down her window, and says to him, "Do you need a ride home?" She didn't circle the block. She just literally showed up. And he said he weighed his options because, he lived a long way away from downtown Minneapolis. And he thought, well, I'll just keep my hand on the door handles and leap up if something happens. She drove him all the way home, almost to downtown St. Paul, and dropped him off and left. That was, never saw her again. Just showed up out of the blue and gave him a ride home. But my gut instinct was something bad's going to happen. Just for praying. That was crazy.
Yeah, I think stranger danger is a real one. I've had that experience too.
Stranger danger?
Yeah. When I got in the car, I didn't feel anything.
Well,
don't, if whoever's listening, do not do that. It was not smart.
Unless your sister's looking for you and has sent out her sorority sisters to also come and look for you, then maybe get in the car.
Oh, true. But what? You sensed something was wrong with your driver?
No, I sensed, my one friend in Rome did and then put it together.
Oh, right.
Literally. Oh.
Yeah.
You don't use.
No, I'm not using her real name.
I was like, no.
No, I'm just remembering who she is. Like,
yeah.
I remember, because Ubers and Lyfts aren't a thing in Italy.
They are. You just have to be cautious. Just be aware of your surroundings. She just had a gut instinct something was wrong, and immediately kind of pieced it together, and then realized he's not going where I even told him to going. I'm supposed to be going. I mean, she doesn't know Rome like the back of her hand, but it's not towards where our Airbnb was. And of course, I'm still at the bar with some of my guy friends that had visited from here home, and she told me all about it because she's super independent. And honestly, anyone that tries to fight her, good luck. But she realized it, and she literally couldn't get out of the door. So she grabbed him, obviously, from behind and I don't know how it happened, but she did something with like the child lock, and then she got out.
Right? Didn't she
Yeah.
come out with her purse handle?
Yeah. But we're not, I don't think we should say that she strangled a man.
Oh, I think
Well, she should say she's.
no, I think that's fine. It's why one of my friends always carries around a lighter. She can get out of any chokehold if you just light their elbow.
Well, she basically choked the man either with her purse or her hands. Probably was a little blurry at the time, but her gut instinct was like, I have to get out of this car now. And she got unlocked. I don't remember if she broke the window or if she somehow got to the buttons to do the child lock, undo it. But she got out of the car and literally just ran.
Can you imagine that would be like getting trafficked, like the girl in Taken by some Albanian sex trafficking ring? Not really, but
That is something that would happen. But she would get out of it because
I would not be surprised if a lot of if people decide to start sharing their stories with us, which we hope that you will. I'm a little concerned that it's going to be a very large amount of women going, hey, this guy did creepy X thing, and my gut instinct was to not do that thing. So
what we're gonna get. I hope send your stories to us at connect@originalage.com.
well, women can be creepy too. So
for sure.
There aren't as many serial killers who are women, but your favorite one,
Elizabeth Bathory, here's like
Lisbeth.
yeah.
Not only does she have a favorite serial killer, folks, she is able to name drop the favorite serial killer at the drop of a hat.
If you just give me 3 details about them, 3 key identifiers, and I will be able to tell you. But Elizabeth Bathory she was a pure psychopath. She was from the 1500s.
Yeah, she's a special type of psychopath. She has about as much lore around her as Dracula, from which she is often associated with.
Well, she was like a lord.
She was a Hungarian countess.
Countess, yeah.
She married a count. Her aunt was, I'm pretty sure, burned at the stake for being a lesbian witch.
Which might make sense why who she targeted now.
Fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure her aunt was either accused of black witchcraft and being a lesbian at the time, which was also considered witchcraft.
How do you know?
I don't know about the lesbian piece. I just know that her family was into satanic.
Yeah, we listen to a lot of true crime, unfortunately.
I listen to true crime. Like the British accent. You listen to.
I'm obsessed with occults of myths and legends, so there's a lot. You don't want to dip into how many really messed up stuff there is. I love Asian culture, but damn, they got some freaky stuff over there.
All right, so listen, folks, send us your stories and we'll read them online here. The other one we want to hear about is when your animals have had their gut instinct to do something and protect you, because we see that a lot too. But mostly we want to know when your gut instinct
when your
kicked in.
Yeah, when your second brain kicked in. And
your second brain, you've gut instinct. Okay. That's a wrap. We'll see you next time on Gut Instinct with Original Age.
Bye.